Hello, everybody. So, if you haven't heard, there's this guy named Donald Trump, all right? And we're going to be checking out his C-SPAN coverage of late. Specifically, he spoke at a Moms for Liberty event and said some pretty interesting things, and we're going to check that out. But before that, let's check in with Trump supporters. How are they doing these days? Well, let's check in. Well, are they doing okay? They getting their fiber?
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of President Biden reelected?
You don't have to like the words that come out of the man's mouth, but sometimes in life we all need a good paddling from the principal to set our life on the right track.
Did this guy honestly just walk up to a reporter and say, "Honestly, sometimes we all need a good ass kicking to put us on the right course"? Like, bro, you realize you're literally asking for an ass kicking, right? Right? Like you're like out there being like, "Yeah, I think we should embrace dictatorship." That's a paddling.
Track, and this country does need a little bit of that. We need a little paddling. I mean,
Dude. Dude, why are conservatives like this, man?
No, she's gonna prosecute the president of the.
Why?
I was a problem child growing up, and it took a good leadership.
You were a problem child growing up, so you needed a good ass kicking then, and you need another one now. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
To set me straight. So I think our country does need some of that. So I hands down believe people wanted it 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So
But they didn't vote that way, right?
I don't know about that.
You think it was a stolen election?
Without a doubt.
The other day, Donald Trump said on his first day he's going to be a dictator for a day.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Would you rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years or reelect Joe Biden for 4 years?
I would rather have Donald Trump. I'd like to see the repeal the Roosevelt law so that he can be a president for a lot more than 4 years.
Like, these people are all on the Kool-Aid. Like, if these people were in Jonestown, like they'd just be like, "Yep, it's time."
But this country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
You hate these people? That's because they're fascists. They might be like portraying it in like a folksy kind of embarrassed way, but they're fascists. That they are advocating for the fascist takeover of America while also revealing their kinks.
Donald Trump said in a speech that on day one for a day he would be a dictator. What do you think of that?
No idea. I don't know.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president?
Trump.
As a dictator.
Do these people even know what a dictator is? Because I don't really have faith in that.
Maybe.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president?
Donald Trump all the way.
Even as a dictator?
Yes.
Even coming out of Slovakia?
Yes.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president?
We have a dictator currently, so.
Yes.
I don't think any of these people know what dictators are. You don't get just 4 years of a dictator, guys. You get a dictator for life. That's how that works.
Yes, we do.
God damn. All right, with that laying some of the groundwork here, let's check out this wonderful little C-SPAN video I have here. After it finishes playing its ad. Here we go.
at a fireside chat at the Moms for Liberty Joyful Warriors National Summit. Live coverage on C-SPAN.
At your lead, the gentleman.
Just about everything.
Join us. You and I were talking a little bit backstage, and you were sharing with.
Also, just as some background information, Moms for Liberty is the group that has routinely had like its members exposed as either outright neo-Nazis or sexually curious individuals engaged with multiple partners, we'll say.
Me, a lot of the concerns you have about the border and what you're seeing happen with illegal immigrants across the United States, and I thought I'd give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about that.
He doesn't look okay. Like, this is not he's not carrying himself like a winner, I'll say that. I'm not a body language expert, but this doesn't fill me as a viewer with confidence in his abilities.
To start off.
Sure, because you're talking about moms and you're talking about family. So
You're talking about moms, you're talking about liberty.
it's a big factor for you, just about everything. And when you look at what's happening,
Moms and women are a big factor for this Moms for Liberty group.
in our country, this is so tough. You know, it's one thing you don't drill oil or you don't do something that you can do with a new group coming in, but millions and millions of people, 21 million people, I think the real number is. That you hear 13, 14, 15, like that's not a big number, but it is, but 21 million people. And many of these people are criminals. Many of these people are coming out of the roughest countries in the world, and they're coming from all over the world. They're not just coming from South America. You know, everyone thinks they're coming from like Guatemala, El Salvador. They're coming from Mexico. They're coming from everywhere. I was speaking to the Border Patrol.
Dude's losing the juice, guys. He is bleeding out the Riz. Even amongst like his conservative viewership. Like he is so tired.
They said in the last 12 months, 159 different countries were represented by people having come in illegally. And that's some number, but these are...
Lee Kestner, thank you for the $5
You need to
super chat.
interview this woman because it shows how we got here. A well-trained wife, My Escape from Christian Patriarchy by Tia Levings.
I will check that out. Let me get that open in a tab on my other screen. There we go. Check it out. Man, I love that I note that he looks like he's doing horribly, and I also say that I'm not a body language expert, but I then get several people who are like, body language experts are actually frauds and hacksters, and it's like, I know, I'm just saying he looks like shit and looks like he lacks confidence. Like, sure, body language experts where they're like, the hand is tilted this way. Clearly that means that they are the murderer. Yeah, that's a crock of shit. Body language experts where you're like looking at someone who's hunched over and like staring at the ground versus someone who's standing like with their back straight, looking like making direct eye contact. Like, there's a bit there is an element of nonverbal communication that is absolutely real, and all I'm saying is the nonverbal cues he's demonstrating here are not good for his position, which is great for us. I'm happy to see it.
The tough people, they're coming out of the jails, they're coming out of the mental institutions. They're coming out of prisons, and they're just coming out of, there's a difference between a prison and jail. It's subtle.
They're just coming. They're just coming, everybody. They're just They're just coming.
I'm going to come. But I say that they come out of mental institutions and insane asylums. There's a difference there also. And they're coming into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen. And I've been saying for 2 years that this has got to stop. Been saying for longer than that, but for 2.5, 3 years, I said this has to stop. And now it's catching up with us. And you see what's going on in Colorado. I don't know if anybody got to see Aurora. I mean, they're taking over the city. They're taking over.
Oh, man. What could he possibly be talking about? Could he be talking about the conservative fringe conspiracy theory that a gigantic gang has taken over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, similar to the hit film Dread from 2014 or 2015, wherein a criminal gang controlling an apartment complex locks it down, and it's all up to one veteran lawmaker and a rookie first day on the job to get down to brass tacks and bring the gang to justice. You haven't heard of this conspiracy theory yet? Well, you're in luck. You're in luck. I didn't prep the segment, so I do have to type a little bit. I apologize. Da 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 da. Because you know what? There's a pretty interesting bit of news for you, and I think you're all going to enjoy from whence it comes. Let's take a look at reporting from our very favorite reporter in Colorado, Kyle Clark. Because, of course, Kyle is on the case. And Kyle Clark's next program is one of the best local television shows running in, or statewide television programs running in America right now.
Inside the hallways at 1268 Dallas Street, music bounces off the walls.
Una salsa.
It's why Carlos Ordoscoidi chose to live here.
Tengo tres. Dos niños y una niña.
When he left his 3 kids in Venezuela to try and provide for them in America.
Mucha gente buena, aquí vivimos padres trabajadores, aquí vinimos a trabajar.
There are a lot of good people here. We are parents, we are hard workers, we came here to work.
Entonces no es justo que
and it's not fair that our rights are being put at risk because of a minority.
Se vean vulnerados por una minoría.
Carlos's home is now in the spotlight after this video surfaced last week showing people carrying guns inside. Conservative media and politicians claimed Venezuelan gangs had taken over the complex.
We've got, Venezuelan gang members who have gone into an apartment complex and now they're intimidating the.
Wait, you Blueberry Bumblebee? You literally used to live in this building or in this city?
Tenants there to pay them the rent and probably extort other things from them.
Yeah, notice the word probably is doing a lot of work here. Just listen to the framing of how this Fox News commentator is framing this, okay?
Venezuelan gang members who have gone into an apartment complex and now they're intimidating the tenants there to pay them the rent and probably extort other things from them.
The city's interim police chief says gangs are not taking rent.
El alcalde está...
Oh. The city's police chief literally said that's not happening. Damn, it's almost like you can just go on Fox News and say anything. Like absolutely anything. And it gets reported as fact in conservative media. Like it's actually crazy that no one at Fox News was like, hey, maybe we should ask like the local police chief if this is actually happening. Or, said a producer, we could just say anything about this video clip. We could say that they're evil Venezuelan gangs funded by the Taliban, secretly funneling North Korean terrorists into America. We could say anything. Anything's possible in Biden's America.
Está
The mayor is out of his
Carlos
orbit.
says he doesn't know the people in the video and says reports the buildings are overrun with gangs are greatly exaggerated.
Si lo que pasó en ese
With what happened in that video,
repito,
it
lo
was
que
here,
está
we can't
ahorita,
deny
lo
that.
que fue aquí, no hay que negarlo. No se sabe en
But in
realidad el
reality,
motivo
no one
por
knows
qué esas
what the
personas
motives
llegaron
were
ahí.
for those people being here.
Pero
But I
yo
haven't
no he
seen
visto que
anyone
estén
invading anywhere. I
invadiendo,
haven't
yo
seen
no he visto
anyone
que
being
estén
charged
cobrando
rent,
renta,
and in
en
reality, I
realidad
haven't
no lo he
seen
visto.
that.
He says all the attention has put his community in danger, with calls on social media for people to come here and confront the so-called gang members.
Venezuelan gangs, we're here to chase you off. This is our communities.
I can't bear to see the white name anymore. Also, that video looks like every conservative "Don't tread on me" video I've ever seen, but slightly more tanned.
True. Pluvius, thank you for gifting with Otro a sub. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the stream. And again, this show's only made possible by viewers like you. So thank you for supporting the stream. I appreciate it. Well, we're growing. Hey, Boy Meets Minnie, how are you doing, lovely? We're debunking the Venezuelan gangs in Colorado conspiracy.
Ahorita sí siento un poco de
Right now,
temor
I'm scared
por lo que
because
se
of
está
what's
viendo,
been
por lo-
created and
por-
all the
por lo que se está creando,
xenophobia,
la xenofobia
hate
hacia
that is
nosotros,
increased
y
towards
me da
us.
muchísimo miedo
I'm really
salir-
scared
salir
to
de
be
la
outside
calle.
past 7 or 8 p.m. because you never know who can drive by or come around to try and harm us. And I need to clarify here, he's not talking about the Venezuelan gangs. He's talking about the crazy white nationalist conservatives who keep showing up at his apartment building to scream through, like, microphones at them, to scream through megaphones.
Ya después de las 7, 8 de la noche, porque uno no sabe qué carro, qué loco pase por ahí y no quiera hacer daño.
Like Fox News, a national media outlet with like basically infinite resources to do journalism, didn't even think to like call the building's like landlord, didn't think to like have someone go out there and like talk to the people in the building, didn't even think about calling the local police chief and be like, hey, what's up? Like, nah, let's just make things up.
O sea, se trata de nuestra reputación.
This is affecting our reputation. I feel bad because they are generalizing all of us, and it shouldn't be that way.
Me siento mal porque nos generalizan a todos y no debería ser así.
Anyway, Kyle Clark doing incredible work along with his team at Channel 9 Colorado. Good stuff. Good stuff. So anyway, yeah, the misreporting spread by Fox News and conservative malcontents, we'll say, is literally turning the area around that complex into a sundown town. The guy's afraid to go outside because of the white nationalists that this conspiracy mongering has drawn to the building. So anyway, that's what Donald Trump is talking about when he talks about how they are taking over.
Apartment complexes. These are young, very tough people. These are tough. They make our...
He's literally saying this based on nothing except for like a 5-second long clip that was spread on Twitter.
Criminals look nice. That's the only thing good about them. Our criminals are like nice people by comparison. And if you saw the Colorado thing, and this is happening all over, just not Colorado, but...
No, like right-wingers won't rest until there are lynch mobs in every town. Exactly, Olive Ryder. Unironically, yeah. They want to make America great again by reigniting lynch mobs, by bringing back the original picnics, which, if you don't know the history of that, it makes picnics a lot less cute.
The Colorado thing caught the imagination because there were many of them.
Wait, that's a local Fox channel? No, actually, I believe it's an NBC affiliate local channel, Marco.
With the biggest weapons that you've ever seen. And these came from Venezuela, which is emptying out all of its criminals. You know what? Venezuela crime is down like 72% because they're bringing all of their criminals from Caracas and.
Do I even have to say he's just pulling numbers out of his ass? Like, do I even have to, like, point out that that's not correct? Like, right now, Venezuela is in the middle of a gigantic crackdown on, like, the crime syndicates in the country. And, crime has fallen because of that, but they're not shipping all of their criminal... Like, just to unpack a little bit. Just to unpack that a little bit. Just, like, a little bit. Crime doesn't fall because you're sending people you've already captured and put in prison to other countries. You've already captured them. That doesn't, like, the crime has already happened. The crime isn't falling, like what you think that, like, people in Venezuela are like, oh no, they're shipping people from here to America. We need to stop our crimes. Are you kidding me? That's not how that works. Like, in what universe is that how, like, a criminal makes decisions? Have I heard of the Shenyun dance troupe abuse and how their major news affiliates are trying to cover the lies about how it became they hate the New York Times? I haven't heard about the Shenyun dance troupe abuse, but I have heard that they are owned by the Falun Gong. Same with Epoch Times. So, like, that's kind of like a little, well, fairly large propaganda circle. Anthony Schuler, to answer your question about picnics, picnics were begun as fun events for white people to watch the lynchings of African Americans. Makes it a lot less cute, huh? Anyway.
Everywhere else, they're bringing them to the beautiful USA. Thank you very much, Venezuela. We appreciate it. And we're allowing it to happen because we have open borders. And again, this is happening with every continent. We have Africa well represented.
Rather, I should say, to clarify, because I know someone's going to be pedantic about this either right now, before I look at chat, or in the comment section of the inevitable segment, Picnic did predate the practice of the wide-scale practice of lynch mobs in America. However, it began as a French cultural kind of phenomenon that then came to America and broadly gained acceptance here in America by its utilization of picnics and festivals around the lynching of African Americans. So, to clarify, picnics did predate that, but in America they gained popularity due to essentially well, the Jim Crow Museum has a section on it, and yeah. And of course, the etymology of the word picnic does not suggest racist or racial overtones. Picnic was originally a 17th century French word, pique-nique. Its meaning was similar to today's meaning, a social gathering where each attendee brings a share of the food. However, it
I am genuinely surprised that the U.S. right wing hasn't latched onto the story about the stabbings that happened last week in Germany. It was done by a rejected immigrant from the Middle East.
Oh, Fenry, that's because the American U.S. right doesn't care about Germany and doesn't want to compare itself to Germany because, well, right now the big story about Germany in U.S. media is essentially that Germany is starting to elect members of the Nazi Party, so, or spiritual successors to the Nazi Party, my bad. Yeah, so cursory research of the term lynching picnic reveals several primary sources reporting on such events. I'm going to try, I'm not going to say the words here. Here's the Livingston Herald reporting on the lynching of George Smith. Colored, 20 years of age, in Omaha, Nebraska, was a picnic for people for miles around, and several hundred men from Council Bluffs took part. In 1879, the Fort Wayne Sentinel reported about 2 lynching picnics, Ben Arnold in Dakota and Marcellus Floyd in Texas. Yeah. In 1882, 2 African-American men who were imprisoned for the attempted murder of a telegraph operator survived a jailbreak lynching attack. The next morning, the excitement had, to a considerable extent, died away, and all danger of a lynching picnic is considered past. Like, that was the reporting... Wait, Council Bluffs, Iowa? Oh. Yeah, if you haven't looked up the history of your local area with, like, lynching African Americans or, like, participating in brutal Jim Crow attacks, I highly encourage you to look that up because it wasn't limited to just the South, guys. I live in Minnesota. We're basically considered to be like a smaller version of Canada in the United States because we're right up next to Canada, and we have sundown towns here. We have in Duluth, okay, one of the largest cities up close to the Canadian border, close-ish, relatively. There are memorials for, like, times when people in that city, like, rioted over racial issues and killed like a dozen black people. Like, it is insane. So yeah, there is a long history across the Midwest and the South, and also like the North. We're not letting you guys off either, all right? Of that type of violence, unfortunately. Still trying to flee to Minnesota? Oh, I would recommend it. It's gotten better. We've had trans protection since the 90s. I'm just saying, like, you know, be aware of your local history, because guarantee you there's probably a lot of history in your area that was never taught to you growing up. Memorial to the riot, like, not to honor the riot, but to, like, you know, remember that it happened, to, like, keep the event in people's memory as a warning against doing it again. You know? Today you learned, yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of good resources if you want to learn about the incredibly fucked up racist history of America. So I'm just going to post a link to the Jim Crow Museum, specifically the page I was looking at. You guys can read more about it yourself there. But yeah, we're going to move on.
Coming out from the Congo, 22 people came in recently from the.
No, there's. It's not a memorial celebrating the riot. It's a memorial condemning the riot and trying to ensure that like people don't forget it, so that it can never again be repeated.
Congo, where do you come from? We come from prison. What did you do to get into prison? We will not tell you. Bad stuff. And we have them here. No intention of bringing them back. None whatsoever. And they're all over the country. But now what they're doing, you know, if you think 21 million, so if you say a certain large percentage of them are bad, because when you empty out your prisons and you empty out your mental institutions, it's a lot of people.
Again, he's just pulling this out of his butt. No country is emptying out their mental institutions and sending them to the United States.
It's bigger than most armies are in our country.
Has he been like this a lot lately? Yeah, ever since the assassination attempt. I think it really took the wind out of his sails. I think people not really caring that someone tried to kill him really shook him. And there was some like preliminary reporting or early reporting that like he had like PTSD symptoms where he would just watch like a 7-second clip of the attempted assassination over and over again. I don't think he's doing okay.
If you add them up totally. So we had 159 countries, let's say, but we...
Yes, America, and very specifically Reagan, emptied out the mental institutions and sent them into the street. That's true, but that's a bit different than saying Mexico is like sending their asylum inmates to America. That's not happening.
We have massive numbers of people. And what happened in Aurora today is incredible because they basically have just taken over a swath.
Again, cannot stress enough that we just watched reporting that said that that is not happening.
And the building, and the people are petrified. The people living in the building, they're leaving. And when they tell the police about it, I mean, the police, you know, they don't need AK-47s.
I mean, we've talked about this, Will Kale. Someone did try to assassinate him in 2016. There's video of the attempt. It was like a mentally disturbed English fellow.
That's a very powerful weapon.
Oh, damn, Salmon Moose. That is a...
How can we all have died at the same time?
They're called asylum seekers. They must be looking for new asylums. The 10 out of 10 comment.
I learned a lot about weapons over the last 6 weeks, I will tell you. There's a big difference between different weapons. But they're coming in with very powerful weapons. And the police, you know, you have a few policemen that saying, wait a minute, we're totally outnumbered. Plus they have guns that are, you know, many times the power of what we carry. We don't carry rifles and machine guns and things like they're wielding around pretty freely.
What are you talking about? This is America, sweaty. You think police don't have rifles and machine guns? You think your average American doesn't have rifles and machine guns? We probably have more rifles and machine guns than we do people in America. We could literally give one to every man, woman, child, and fetus in America and still have guns left over. What are you talking about, bro?
And know how to use them. And this is affecting our schools because we want to talk about schools. And they're taking over schools. We have MS-13 gangs. They're the toughest gangs, they say, in the world, probably are. I got them out by the thousands. I took them out by the thousands. Obama couldn't get them out because the country wouldn't allow them to come back in. They were putting airplanes, big airplanes on the runway so you couldn't land the planes. They'd have to come back to the United States loaded up with these same people that they were supposed to take out.
So your brilliant plan was to give them like a free plane ticket to a different country? Like that was your totally sustainable plan? And your theory is that if you fly them to a different country, they won't simply cross over the border that you believe that they very easily crossed before. Like, the Republican logic makes no sense whatsoever. It's all feels over reels. It's all feels over reels.
And I got them to take them by stopping aid, $750 million to different
Entrama!
countries.
Well.
Entrama, you've been subscribed for 46 months. Almost 4 years. Hope you're doing well. Miss you. Bet you're busy as hell, but miss your face.
And I won't go through this too much, but basically I said, how much money do we pay to Guatemala and to a few other countries? And the number was $750 million, which is a lot, but it's not that much. We give so much money away. It's so crazy. To countries that hate us. By the way, we give a lot of money away every year to Afghanistan. Billions and billions of dollars. And I think that Harris...
You were the president, man. You literally gave them that money and also released all of the Taliban leadership we had in prison.
And Biden was starting out by Harris, a Marxist. She's a Marxist, by the way. People are finding that out.
Man, I wish, God, I wish, as a socialist, I wish the president of the United States believed in workers owning the means of production.
But she's a total Marxist. Her father's a Marxist. He's a Marxist professor. He teaches.
I want anyone to ask him what that means. What does he think a Marxist is? I guarantee you his answer would be something like someone who hates America. But like, no, really, for real, what does it mean? Define it. Define the word.
I guess the economy from a Marxist perspective, and he taught her well. But when you look at what was happening, you couldn't get the people out. And when I said, you're going to get these people out of here, the general came to me, sir, they won't take them back. Who won't take them back? The countries from where they came. And they would put airplanes on the runway. They block up the bus routes. They block up everything. So we'd bring them back, and you couldn't bring them back, Tiffany. So it's such a horrible thing. And I said, how much aid do we pay them, sir? We pay them $750 million combined. I say, that's a lot of money. That's a lot. Well, tell them we're not paying them anymore. It's effective immediately. Yes, sir. And they told them that. And the following morning, I come into the beautiful Oval Office, that Resolute desk, which is so beautiful. You know, now Biden goes around using that. He didn't even know the name of the Resolute desk. Now he talks, I sit behind the Resolute desk. He doesn't even know what the hell it is, this guy. That's a beauty.
Man, he's so sad. He's literally so sad that he's not running against Biden anymore. It's been weeks, man. It's been weeks. Are you kidding me? He's still doing the meme. Do I still have it on speed meme? Do I still have it? I got it. He's still doing the meme. Oh, Joe. Where'd you go, Joe? I missed. We could have been great together, you and me. We could have been great.
Boy, I tell you, did they do a coup on him? Anyway, so I said, tell him that's not happening. So the following morning, I get to the office and I get a call from 3 countries, let's not use names, and all very smart leaders. I'd be doing the same thing if I were them, to tell you the truth. I'd say, empty out my prisons, dump them into the United States, don't ever let them back. And I would be doing it every bit as much as them. I don't blame them if they can get away with it, but they shouldn't be able to get away with it. So
Okay, real quick. You're trying to tell us that the United States, the most powerful country on earth, lacks the ability to just send convicted criminals into other countries? there's literally nothing stopping us. We could do that. Like, he's like, I would have been doing it every bit as much, but we can't do that here.
They said, you're not going to
Yeah, law and order candidate right here. Law and order candidate.
get the money. They call me up. They say, sir, I understand. And I know all three of them. I know all of them. I know all the leaders. They're all at the top of their game. And we have a bunch of deadweights, okay? We are being taken advantage
Bunch of deadweights that told me I couldn't just do a fascist coup of America. Disloyal and traitorous.
of as a country so much. I've never said anything like it. So they said essentially the same conversation. Sir, good morning, sir. I understand there's a problem, sir. You have to understand, this has gone on for 10 years. They wouldn't take their people back. They wouldn't take MS-13 back. They dumped them in our country, wouldn't take them back. I said,
What do you mean they wouldn't take them back? You can just fly a plane there, man.
well, you know, you're sending them up in the caravans and other ways, and you're not taking them back. You're never getting any more money from the United States. Sir, we would like to take them back. We would love to have MS-13 back with us. We think they're such wonderful people. Anyway, they made it very...
He's literally, you know, if AO3 is still down, he's making an excellent go at replacing it.
very easy for us to get them back, and we took them back by the thousands, and we took also a lot of...
This is very peak drunk uncle at Thanksgiving energy. He's tapped into the pure spirit.
others back. And then these clowns took over the country and nothing, everything.
What's AO3? Archive of Our Own. It's the fan fiction capital of the internet.
Everything closed up. And by the way, they're paying them now $4 billion, I understand. Can you believe it? And they don't take them back. It's just so sad to see what happens. They're paying much more money than I was talking about. They raised it. They actually felt it was good to pay them more. They said, why? They said, economic development. It's not economic development. It's the development of a dictator. Because
That's really rich coming out of your mouth, man. Like, you literally did an interview like 2 weeks ago where you were like, hey, Christians, vote for me. You'll never have to vote for anyone again.
they keep the money. They're not doing any economic development. We have the dumbest...
Okay, in case people don't understand this, the United States has been operating under the auspices of neoliberalism, okay? And the idea here is that as a matter of foreign policy, the United States invests in other countries to develop markets, okay? What does that mean? It means you raise a certain standard of living, you build certain smaller companies there, and then either those companies get bought out by American companies, and then, or they get like government contracts from said countries, or like there are other geopolitical favors that we can call in. It's similar to the Belt and Road Initiative that China does, except China has a better branding on that idea, I guess, where China will come in, they'll build the infrastructure for a country, and then they, in return, they basically build up a lot of goodwill towards their country in the targeted, nation. And then, hey, oh man, we want first dibs on like oil discoveries. We want, priority given to our companies when we come into your market. That kind of thing. Like it is a employment of what is known as soft power, where instead of using your military to get what you want, you use money to get what you want. And when you are the global superpower and economic power, one of the greatest economic powerhouses on the planet, you can do that. Yeah, see, he also literally said he wanted to be a dictator.
There's people in history running our country, okay? The dumbest in history. And we have to get these people. So we brought it back at all. But what's happening to our country is being poisoned, and your schools.
Yeah, when he says that our country is being poisoned, he's literally doing a Hitler, okay? He's calling immigrants poison. He's saying immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, which is what Hitler said repeatedly in speeches, and I believe in Mein Kampf as well. So, yeah.
And your children are suffering greatly because they're going into the classrooms, they're taking the seats, and they don't even speak English. It's crazy. And we have our people that aren't going into a classroom. We have students that were there last year that aren't allowed into the school this.
Oh, absolutely, Demi Birdos. His core audience does not care about the facts. However, I'm making this to appeal to liberals to say, hey, liberals, come a bit further left, okay? And also, for weirdo independents in the middle who still haven't made up their mind, and also for conservatives who just don't pay attention to politics, okay? The vast majority of people in America do not pay attention to politics whatsoever. If you are here and you're watching me, you are more in tune with politics than like 98% of Americans.
This year, they're not allowed. It's crazy. We have our veterans sleeping on the streets, and we have illegal immigrants coming into our country living in luxury hotels above where the veterans.
You know, that's really interesting here that Donald Trump is talking about the veterans. I have a just a little clip I want to play for you guys. Where is it here? Here it is. Just a fun little clip here, featuring one Timothy Poole.
Probably very difficult to do, but let's say we were able to isolate specifically bloated bureaucracy spending. If we could take all of that money and apply it to healthcare, government spending that money instead on helping people with healthcare, would you be in favor of that?
Well, I absolutely would, but let's look.
Oh, look, it's Matt Gaetz, the guy whose best friend allegedly hooked him up with an underage teen. Wild.
Look at the VA, which is something that Anna and I have talked about at great length, not
Oh, yeah. Look at the VA.
just in the policy space, but as it literally relates to, our families and the people we love. If we abolished the VA and gave every veteran a card that allowed them to get fee-for-service at any healthcare provider that they walked into in this country, and if you want to provide healthcare in this country, you better be willing to provide it to a veteran for the amount that we would pay for it at that rate, then you could eliminate the bureaucracy and you could spend all the money that is appropriate to that bureaucracy actually on healthcare for veterans.
Yeah, if that was an option.
Or I'm just gonna spit this out real quick. Or we get rid of privatized healthcare and just expand the VA to everybody. I'm just spitballing here.
Today, I guarantee most vets would go that route. And one of the most frustrating things is that, especially during what happened with COVID because of the bureaucracy, a lot of veterans that did need help, especially that had PTSD that needed to talk to doctors, weren't getting the help that they needed.
But if we're gonna do universal,
and why weren't they getting the help that they needed? Was it because the other services available to them and the other facilities available to them were privatized because it was a private service? Weird.
healthcare, which is the essence of your question, in exchange for bureaucratic inertia and bureaucratic waste, there's no more fruitful space than the VA and no more meritorious a space.
Yeah, I mean, he nailed it. Again, systems like the VA, and mind you, service members do essentially pay into that. And so that's a friendly reminder to people. A lot of people say, well, the military has socialized healthcare, but we are literally paying back into that system.
Yeah. That's what socialized medicine is.
So for me, from that perspective, I mean, there's so much broken with the VA. President Trump did a lot of good, but there's still so much that needs to be fixed with it. And so
the issues with the okay, guys, the issues with the VA could be fixed if we just expanded the VA and properly funded it. If we expanded the VA and we properly funded the bureaucratic gears and bells and whistles, it would be totally fine. Like, and these ghouls are like, hey, we should abolish the VA, because you guys, you know that these people don't give a fuck about veterans. You know Matt Gaetz doesn't care about veterans. When they say something like, oh yeah, we'd abolish the VA, and then we'd give them something like a card or something to use anywhere, for however much we'd be willing to pay for it. All they care about is the first part, the abolishing of the VA. They don't care about the second part. Every single veteran could die in the gutter for all they cared. They just are front-loading what they want and then trying to soften the blow.
So anyone that ever advocates for socialized medicine, I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're starting.
Anyway, that's Tim Pool agreeing with two absolute ghouls that the VA should be abolished. Anyway, what's that? You care about veterans sleeping in the streets? It doesn't seem like your party does.
It's so reverse of what it should be.
So
May you interest me in a Steve Shives about veterans? You may, but I'm not going to watch it on stream because I probably agree with Steve Shives. He's a good YouTuber. You should all check him out. He has really good Star Trek videos too.
know you love New York City. I'm from New York originally. My dad grew up in Brooklyn in Flatbush. Yeah, New York. But like many other cities in America right now, it's a city in decline.
And then you, let me guess, you moved to Long Island? Your dad grew up in Brooklyn, then you moved to Long Island? You give off that vibe.
You were in New York when Mayor Giuliani really did great reform.
Why is Trump sat like that? I don't know. I would say something about his body language, but chat wouldn't like that.
Forms.
Right. He was such a great mayor, and he also fought for a lot of things that he should. Hey, he was right about the laptop from hell. He was the one that came out. Rudy was right. Rudy was right about a lot of things. They have a hat. Trump.
Most I run into dismiss him because he's a liberal. Well, here's the thing, guys. We need liberals. Unpopular take. As a leftist, our job should be to move liberals over to our position. And you don't do that by saying, oh, you're a dumb fuck for being a liberal. No, you engage with them, Now, I will say liberals are evil. But that's only when I'm frustrated because they're doing something insane. But our main goal, the easiest thing we can do to be politically relevant is to radicalize liberals. Like that's one of the easiest things we can do. There are two things, okay? Top two things you can do as a leftist, all right? Number one, radicalize liberals in your circle. And number two, get non-voters to vote. Like those are the two things you can do to be the most politically effective.
Was right about everything, but Rudy was right about a hell of a lot.
Did I see Jesse Ventura absolutely eviscerate Trump and JD Vance? Yeah, it was really nice to see.
Right, he was the first one to see the laptop, I guess, and he revealed what was on there, and everyone hit him hard. He's actually a very brave guy, but he was a great mayor, and he took over the city when it was in really bad shape and very dangerous.
I will agree, Reed. It is very hard sometimes to to engage with liberals in a productive way. I agree, especially on geopolitical issues in today's day and age. But, you know, you do what you can.
And he made it the safest big city in the country and made it big.
Ooh, advice for tactics? I mean, honestly, you got to engage them where they're at. That's kind of the one thing. It's really, I think, difficult to have a productive engagement when you hold a really high bar and you know that a liberal is not equipped with the information or the ideological framework in order to meet that bar. Most liberals just don't know. They have good intentions, but they just don't know. And so the easiest way I have found to engage with liberals is just to activate their curiosity. You know? Activate curiosity and then like provide like a framework for answers, a framework for like, hey, why you believe what you believe, you know? It is yeah. It is even easier to radicalize Bernie loving sock dumps. True. Yeah, I mean, Demi Burdos, exactly. Have you met a trans person before? Hey, what do you think about unions? You know, like stuff like that. Trump going to Arlington Cemetery was a grave mistake. You earned it. You earned it. I gotta hand it to you. Also, chat, this is apparently going to be an incredibly long segment, so I'm going to do a little pause here and say, hey, we've been going for 2.5 hours. If you've been enjoying the show or getting anything out of what I've been talking about, please consider hitting the follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like the YouTube stream, because let me take a look here. We have 98 likes, which I cannot help but notice is fewer than 100, and we literally have like 250 people watching over on YouTube. So go hit that like button, please. All right, let's hit our bare minimum goals for the stream. All right, and number 2, I can't make this show without the support of viewers like you. I'm not a big channel. You know, one day we're gonna be bigger than Hassan, baby. Okay, we're gonna be big. All right, we're gonna have the most leftist thing imaginable, a blimp house parked above Hassan's house. Okay, and in order to do that, I need your help. And this show's not possible without viewers like you guys dropping subs or donos, super chats, memberships, what have you. So please consider dropping subs or donos to support the show. And if you want to drop those, consider coming on over to riverboat.gg, where I get to keep most of the money you send my way. Over on Twitch, I only get 50% of whatever you send my way. Over on YouTube, I get 70% of whatever you send my way. And over here on riverboat.gg, I believe for the moment I get 100%. Eventually, there's going to be a 10% cut taken by the folks who host the site, which is more than fair. They've been hosting me for like several years now, or not several years, but over a year, and asking nothing in return. So they deserve that. But please consider supporting the show. Couldn't do it without you guys. I'm only like a 6,000 subscriber YouTuber and a 10,000 subscriber Twitch streamer. So whatever that means. Let's see, bigger than Hassan, baby. Bigger than Hassan so I can spite him. Hey guys, I've been working out, okay? I'm building these guns, all right? Maybe I'll even be physically bigger than Hassan. Who can say, all right? And you might say, you can't be taller than Hassan, Jack. You're only 5'6". And to that I say, I have really tall heels. So there we go. I long for your success the way a Civil War soldier longs for home. Thank you for being in the trenches, fighting for the cause of the Riverboat crew. Pew, pew. 10-inch heels. Hell yeah. Unironically. You also need to get even cuter dogs and or cats than Hassan. Gonna happen. Do you guys want to see one of the dogs I was looking at possibly getting? Just since we're in a little 10-inch heels. I mean, like, not just the heels have a platform under them, obviously, but yeah. Let's see here. Is it? Wait, I think I know. Can I work and get it? Man, Instagram navigates like shit on desktop, doesn't it? Found it. All right. Are you guys ready for how cute this fucking dog is? Pro tip, you're not ready. None of you are ready. Look at him. Oh, what? Nope. Look at them. Look at how cute that fucking dog is. Look at him. Look at that baby. And like you see him turn into a full dog. Look at that. Look at full dog mode. Adorable. Amazing. Long-haired mini dachshund. So cute. So cute. Anyway. So cute. But this is only possible. Cute pets are only possible with support from viewers like you. Anyway, also follow me on Instagram if you want. I have a different. I mostly tweet selfies. It's not the most interesting place to follow me if you're into my political content. It's you know, like, it's, you know, I'm thirst trapping. All right, I'm thirst trapping. Anyway, look at that sweaty boy. How do you feel about Jack Russell Terriers? They're too smart. They're too smart for their own good. Support, you're doing great, champ. Not financially. Let's see. But the show Wishbone was great. The show Wishbone was great. Absolutely. 10 out of 10 program. Have you considered, though, that dog was too smart? That dog knew more about literature than the child who owned him. And also, like, seemingly was magical, like, terrifying creatures. Okay, but Jack, a dog can play basketball, right? There's no rule against it. Beagles can be smart assholes. I'm too chronically online that the mention of being owned makes me think of debate. JD Vance has a dog. It doesn't look like he owns a dog. He doesn't know how to hold a leash. What's my Instagram at? Jane T.A. JANETA 6769. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but you know, whatever. It's fine. The Instagram is not important to my my streaming operations. You going to the ASPCA? For what? I don't know what that acronym means off the top of my head. Oh, like a shelter dog? I don't know. I don't have a serious plan for getting a dog right now. I'm still pretty sad that my last dog passed away. I don't know why you guys are like trying to lecture me about dogs. All of the dogs I've owned have been adopted. Anyway, moving on.
Beyond that, it was a vibrant city, and now it's got tremendous problems. And in all fairness, look, you have hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants here. How do you do it? You can't run it. I read where they're spending billions of dollars. I thought New York had no money.
Billions
and yet they're spending
billions.
billions of dollars of money, and it's not given by the federal government. So how are they doing this? The city is suffering, and they're all suffering. No city can take in, when you think that 21 million people came into our country, that's bigger than New York. 21 million people came into our country. No country can take that. Nobody can withstand that. It's going to bring us down. And in addition,
I mean, clearly, it didn't, and it doesn't. Like, literally, like bipartisan bodies of Congress have put out reports within like the last month about how the projected economic growth from immigration of all kinds is projected to bring in almost $1 trillion to the economy over the next 10 years.
to that, many of these people are hard criminals. And
they're not soft criminals. They're hard, rock hard.
And we have to get them out, and we're going to have deportation at the highest level we've ever had. As a higher level, you know,
Also, immigrants of all kinds are less likely to commit crime than native-born Americans. Just, interesting fact.
Highest deportation was a pretty moderate guy, but Dwight Eisenhower, he hated that our country was being swamped. And Dwight D. Eisenhower, president of the United States, a good president, good general. He won because he's a general. And, you know, generals, by the way, I don't know, a little statistic. So of the presidents, 92% were politicians, and 8%, before me, 8% were generals. And then I came along. And I don't think any rich guy will ever do it. They're looking at Trump, they're saying, I don't know. They all wanted to do it. They said, if Trump can do it.
Yeah, no rich guy has ever been president before. Is that really the hill you want to die on there, bud? Just, can we... Here, wealth of George Washington... adjusted for inflation. Let's see. Let's see. Is this adjusted for inflation? Ah, it is. Okay. So let's see. Donald J. Trump, net worth $3.1 billion. John F. Kennedy, number 2, with only $1.1 billion. What a chump. But, I do really have to wonder. I don't believe Donald Trump's net worth. Literally, the lawsuits against him all hinge on him overinflating the value of his assets, which is what net worth is hinged on. So I genuinely don't believe that he's worth that much money.
Do it, I can do it, I can do it. But they see what you have to go through, they're saying, you know, maybe I won't give it a shot.
So let's talk a little bit about family, because we really feel at Moms for Liberty that family and parental rights are under attack in America. All of America got to meet your granddaughter Kai at the Republican National Convention.
He literally doesn't remember who that is. I don't know that for a fact. But he looks so upset that the topic isn't about him. Yeah, you guys got to meet my granddaughter. That piece of shit.
Its parental rights are under attack in
look
America.
at his reaction
All of
here.
America got to meet your granddaughter Kai at the Republican National Convention. It's very obvious that you love being a father and a grandfather.
Is it really that obvious?
So I'd love to know why you choose and continue to choose to work with your children in business and politics. And do you have any advice for people with working with your kids?
Well, I've always liked it. I don't know that I'll be doing it very much politically because I think it's been very unfair to them. Like, Ivanka was she could have done anything. Great student.
I wonder if he's going to talk about Tiffany. He never talks about Tiffany.
Great, beautiful girl, beautiful everything. She was a perfect person. Worked hard. She gave up. Do you remember the Ivanka line and all?
I loved those shoes. Please tell your daughter. She made great shoes.
She was making so much money with that thing. I was saying, what the hell is going on? It was so hot. And then I ran for politics. And the truth is, she wanted to come. She pretty much gave it up. It was really good. Great shoes, great everything. Very stylish, and a lot of people still talk about it. But she gave it up because she wanted to go, and she didn't want something like the United Nations secretary. I wanted her to do that. I said, you would be a great ambassador to the United Nations secretary. There'd be nobody to compete with her. I tell you, she may be my daughter, but nobody could have competed with her rat-tat-tat, the whole deal she's got. And she said, Daddy, I don't want to do that. I just want to help people get jobs. And she would go around, not a glamorous job, but she felt so good about it. She would go around to see Walmart, to see Exxon, to see all these big companies to hire people. And she had hired like many.
Hey, fun fact about Ivanka's businesses. Here is a report from Citizens for Ethics. Ivanka Trump's businesses shut down 2 years ago. Or business shut down 2 years ago. So how is it still bringing in money? Now, this report goes on to talk about how, despite the fact that her brands have supposedly shut down, and are being held in a trust, they're still making her over $1 million every year. Somehow. Which is fascinating stuff. In her financial disclosures covering 2019, first obtained by CREW, Ivanka reported making between $100,000 to $1 million in rent or royalties from the Ivanka M. Trump Business Trust, which is comprised of her various Ivanka-branded fashion companies, as well as holding her foreign and domestic trademarks. New analysis of Ivanka, by the way, her trademarks, both foreign and domestic, were greatly expanded while she worked for the Trump administration. Weird for a business that is supposedly shut down. New analysis of Ivanka Trump's 2019 financial disclosures show that either the shuttering of her business may have applied only to parts of her fashion brand, like clothing, or that she continued to make money off her fashion brand after it closed down. The trust that holds the clothing line also contains the brand's trademarks, fragrances, jewelry, handbags, baby home, eyewear, and more. The way the income is reported makes it impossible to tell which of these lines have continued to bring in money, but together they could still be making up to $1 million a year. What we do know is that Ivanka Trump clothing, sunglasses, handbags, and perfumes can be found for sale on the internet's largest retailer, Amazon. Ivanka Trump jewelry is also still for sale online. Clothing from Trump's brand is for sale at Walmart and on Overstock.com. This could all be leftover merchandise from before the brand shut down, or Trump could have kept some parts of her brand open for business while claiming to shut down her brand. The websites for her brands at least have shut down. The way the business deals have been structured could allow her to continue making passive income off of production of Ivanka goods manufactured and sold by others. Which, by the way, all of that aligns almost perfectly with the timing of her getting trademarks and various intellectual property rights secured in China. So, what does that mean? Well, on Walmart and on Overstock and on Amazon, you can basically you can basically sell other people's goods through your storefront. And what it kind of sounds like is that Ivanka Trump is continuing to manufacture goods under the Ivanka brand, and then selling them through these other storefronts, with middlemen making a marginal profit, and she continues to rake in profits that are being laundered through essentially Chinese drop shippers. That would be my assumption based on the evidence provided here. So is she just a selfless individual? No, she just changed the legal structuring of her business to avoid scrutiny.
Millions of people during the course of her stay.
Again, I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me, an outside observer.
And I mean, always there was nothing ever good. It was just very tough. I think if she were a Democrat, it would have been, it's much easier to be a Democrat, let me put it that way.
Apparently you don't have to take any interviews.
That's right. You don't have to do anything. We saw that the other night.
God, look at his pants. Look at his pants, guys. What's going on here? My guy. You shouldn't be showing this much sock. This is not okay. These pants look like they were tailored for a little boy.
And you won't see too many more interviews. And I have a debate coming up with this one. And she didn't want a debate. She didn't want.
Does he have a tailor? I mean, I would assume so. Like, if you're a billionaire, you should have a tailor.
A debate. They were not happy about it, but they got the network that they wanted. This network is the worst of all. George Slopadopoulos, you know who he is. But they are the worst in terms of that. So they wanted the network. And, you know, it was like with Biden. They came to me, they wanted to do a debate. I said...
oh, that, you know, evil Nala, that's probably true. That's what happens when you're too cheap to pay your tailor. Yeah.
Isn't it a little bit early? Like, you know, we just started. Do you want to do it now? Yes, oh, yes. And they thought that if they said it was going to be
exactly. You guys are all nailing it.
Who...
Hey, hippie punk.
Last night was extremely easy. There was no, like, why aren't you doing this? Or why did you say 1,000 times that there'll be no fracking in Pennsylvania, and then all of a sudden say, oh, we'll have fracking?
It felt like a multiple choice quiz. She would give her like several answers that she could have given.
They were feeding it to her. I was surprised, actually. I mean, I was surprised she didn't do a lot of interviews, but she's not good at it, I guess. And they knew that. They knew something that we didn't know. I think she would have been better off if she just did interviews, even if they weren't great. It would have been better than, because now everyone's watching, and now we see she's defective. She's a defective person. And we don't need another defective person as President of the United States. We just had that.
Just had that. And we could have it again. You just have to get back in the race, Joe. Your numbers are up 7 points today, Joe. I looked at the polls. Just get back in the race, Joe. Please, Joe.
I've heard you talk about your mom in interviews before. She was obviously a very strong woman. Was she hard on you with school? Tell us about your mom a little bit.
No, she wasn't. She was great. I had a great mother, great father, very different people.
The question was about your mom, not your dad. We'll ask you about your dad when it's time to talk about your dad, man. This is Moms for Liberty, not Dads for Dibberty.
People. My mother came from Scotland, and she came over to this country. Are there people from Scotland? You know, actually, that's hidden.
Wait, what?
Different people. My mother came from Scotland, and she came over to this country. Are there people from Scotland? You know, actually, that's...
Okay, he's talking to the crowd because someone from the crowd went, whoop. All right. I thought for a second he was legitimately asking if there are people in Scotland.
Hidden. Do you know that some of the biggest...
Biden, come back.
Smartest, most brilliant leaders in business come from Scotland, and nobody knows it? Or at least, you know, their parents came from Scotland, but it's...
Also, did he just say defective person? Yes, but we all know that, like, Donald Trump would execute every single person with any kind of disability whatsoever. Like, that would absolutely be part of his policy. The dude whose, like, supreme grasp on physical and mental health is that human beings are batteries that shouldn't exercise because otherwise you'll use up all of your battery juice and die. I think he doesn't have a great grasp on what we should do as a matter of public health policy.
Scotland did very well in this country, I'll tell you.
I want my Biden back, Biden back, Biden back. I want my Biden back, Biden back, Biden back, Biden back. I want my Biden back, Biden back, Biden back. Biden back ribs.
It's very, like, we have people, and I know that one group, they're a very successful group. Now, she came from Scotland, great place, and she came over just for the summer.
This is what you get, okay? This is what you get when I host a show, okay? I just... The filter disappears after I've been streaming long enough.
Summer, and she was 19, I guess, and she met my father, and they had a very long marriage. I said, I'll never top you on that, Pop. You know, you always want to be a little bit better than your father if you can.
I'll never top you, Dad.
And a little more. And my father loved that. You know, some fathers don't like it. When you have a father that doesn't want his son to be a success, well, you got a problem with a father. But there are plenty of them. I've seen plenty of them. They make it.
Yeah, no, Donald Trump literally told his brother, or was it nephew? He told his nephew that he should let his son die because he was disabled.
Actually hard for the son. But no, I had the opposite. I had a father that loved what was happening. But they met, they fell in love, they got married, and they were married for 6.5 decades.
Wow.
A long time. I said,
wow, they were married for a long time? Now, what a beautiful marriage. Yeah, but, you know, they weren't allowed to divorce for a long time.
I'm not going to be able to beat you with that. But anyway, and they had just a great marriage. Very different people, but they had a great marriage, very, very strong marriage.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about The Apprentice.
Okay.
We talk a lot at
Okay, real quick. I'm gonna give this like 10 to 15 seconds, and if it's not interesting, I'm just gonna skip this section because I do not care about The Apprentice.
Moms for Liberty that we're in the middle of a cultural revolution in America. People like to be dismissive and say it's a culture war, but truly the culture is being changed. I look at you as a president and perhaps our next president, hopefully our next president. That's right.
Ha 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 ha.
And you are a cultural icon. So you had The Apprentice. It ran for, am I right, is it 14 seasons?
14 seasons, 12 years. Yeah, we had. Actually, one season was on for 3 times during the season. That means they liked it, but it was basically 12 years and 14 seasons. Yeah.
How do you think you kept the audience that long?
We don't need to watch this elaborate fellatio.
Anyway, it goes on television, and the first week it was like at number 10, which is failure. And I mean, you remember, it was just the hottest.
I watched The Apprentice. We love the show, yeah.
The finale actually of that season had 42.5 million. It was second to the Super Bowl. It was always the Academy Awards, and we beat the Academy Awards. Since then, the Academy Awards has gone to hell. It's incredible. You know why? Because all they do is, political stuff. They've destroyed it. But, so it finished up, and number 1. And I'll never forget, and I enjoyed it. I said, I have the number 1 show, and I didn't even have an agent. And so I get a call from the agent. I'll never forget, 6 o'clock in the morning, he called me. He says, I want to congratulate you. Show's number 1. I said, yeah, it is. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. He said, could I come over and see you? I said, why? He said, so we could work out a fee. I said, you told me not to do it. There's no way I'm paying you a commission. You told me not. They wanted to get a commission. I said, there's no way. I said, if it was up to you, I would have never done it.
Whoever time-stamped this C-SPAN video did a bad job. Because they said the Arlington Cemetery portion was supposed to start 2 minutes ago.
He said, please raise your hand if you will not support the winner of the group of 17 people, whoever wins the nomination. So I raised my hand. I was the only one. I said, I can't say for sure I'm going to support. I don't like certain of the people. I don't know them. A couple of them I do. You remember that? Those were my first 2 questions. Only Rosie O'Donnell, and I raised my hand. And I said that. I was honest, and the place went crazy. So actually, they were 2 of the more interesting. They were the first 2 questions I had. I went through a lot of debates. I went through like 14, 15 debates then. Then we had the debate with crooked Hillary Clinton. Remember that one?
Oh, that
was pretty good.
Who doesn't remember that debate?
That was a pretty good one. Crooked Hillary, she was a crooked one. And we had, what? So politics has been very interesting. It never stops, right? Then we had the debate last time with Sleepy Joe Biden.
Yeah.
How did he do? He was sharp as a tack.
I would just like to say, I thought you handled yourself so beautifully in that interview. I have to be honest.
Don't forget, she must have study that took about 20 minutes. They found out.
I can't. The amount of like gratification that's going on screen right now is incalculable.
They found out she never worked there. So, there's a lot of fake stuff going on. But we don't need that for a president. And our country can't stand it. We are really in trouble. We're a failing nation, whether you like it or not. And I'm sure you don't like it. But we are a very sick nation. We're a failing nation. And on top of it, we have millions of people in here that we can't have them. If they were great, but you're not going to have people where they're emptying the doors to jails and emptying the doors to mental institutions. We're serious.
Man, you got to keep coming back to this. Dude is so far like gone. He can't stop coming back to the same talking point. Like, there are a lot of different conservative talking points, but he keeps coming back to this one. And it's just not working, man.
Seriously, sick people are coming into our country, and no country can stand this. There's no country can stand it. So I was not happy with him because, I only did it because I want to help the country. I didn't need this. I had a very nice life. Some of you know, I see some of you in here, you know how you've known me for a long time, long before politics. I had a nice life. But even running again, if I thought he was good and I thought he was doing a good job, I would have been happy. But he's not. He's doing a horrible job. And, he's been absent for a long time. If you go back 25 years, he wasn't the brightest bulb in the ceiling, I can tell you that. And he was not doing a job. And I've told this, and I mean it. I would have been happy if he were a great president. And I wouldn't have run. I wouldn't have run. I also wouldn't have run if I didn't think I won the election. I mean, I think we won that election by so much. By so much. If I thought I lost that election, I absolutely would, I wouldn't have run because I would have lost the election. But I think we did phenomenally. I mean, honestly, we got millions.
How, honest question to conservatives. Honest question. How do you sit and watch him go in circles like this? Like, where in this are you like, yes, now he's cooking? Like, where in this do you find that? Because I can't find it, and, like, my job is watching stuff like this.
Millions of more votes than we did in the first election. We did great in the first one. We won. And I was told we got 63 million votes in the first election. I was told if we get 63 million votes, same number, there's no way we can be defeated. I got 10 or 12 million votes more than that, more than anybody.
Citation needed.
Anybody had ever got. We got the most votes of anybody, of any sitting president in history. And he beat us by a whisker. And it was a terrible thing. They used COVID to cheat. And it was a terrible
citation needed
thing. And then I watched, and I thought it was very, very sad because of, the election it brought great division to the country. But I watched, and I saw how bad things were. I saw the border, the open border and everything. I found out about, Tiffany, the open border when we built hundreds of miles, and then we had a little bit more that I was going to add because there were certain areas that you needed it. And we had everything fabricated, very expensive wall. Those walls are expensive. They're steel, concrete, and rebar. And they have a lot of wiring in them for all sorts of security equipment. But it's very expensive stuff. It's exactly what Border Patrol wanted. They have anti-climb bars and everything on them. So we did them. It could have been erected in 3 weeks. And they kept saying, we're not going to do it. We're not.
You think you can erect a wall across thousands of miles of land? Some of the harshest terrain on Earth in a couple of weeks? Yo, man, no wonder you still owe contractors money.
And then I realized they weren't going to do it. And they sold much of that wall for 5 cents on the dollar. So, that's when I realized they actually want open borders. Because you say to yourself, who would want open borders? Who would want men playing in women's sports? But just think of this stuff. No, but who would want that? All the things.
Kamala Harris, apparently.
Yeah. No, she wants it. You talk about, like, cars.
A hacksaw defeats those walls. A ladder defeats those walls. A tunnel defeats those walls. A drone defeats those walls. An American citizen defeats those walls. Overstaying your visa defeats those walls. It's not hard to do, guys. Ladders are an ancient technology.
I'm a big fan of Elon.
Well, you know, if you don't have a ladder, you could even use a goddamn rope.
Elon gave me tremendous endorsement. It's good, isn't it? He's gonna have to send a rocket up to get those people out of there. That's crazy. You know, he's great. I said, when are you sending a rocket up? Well, you know, Elon is a very different kind of a guy. As he thinks, he talks. Whereas a lot of people, you know, they want the words to be perfect and all, and they think less and talk more, right? With Elon, it's like, well, you know, I'm doing a new stainless steel hub that can get us around the engines much quicker because there's a problem with the type of engine going into space nowadays. And I'm hearing the... but in the end, I think we can have a good hookup because of the new foils that are coming up. And I'm hearing everything that's going through his mind. But he is...
Yeah, because he's giving you a lot of money to, like, be in your cabinet.
Like, he's a super genius guy.
Oh, I loved that conversation that you had on Twitter. I listened to the whole thing. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
That was... I think we're going to do another one, too. They had a number, like I heard 750 million. They had a number that was so crazy and large, and we had a...
Yeah, you can really feel the contempt Donald Trump has for Elon Musk. Like, he really wants to use outdated terminology to talk about how Elon Musk acts. You can tell. You can tell.
Good time. We talked for 2.5 hours, and yeah, it was the #1 ever. There's never been anything like it in terms of people listening or watching or whatever. But he's a great guy. But I said to him, you know, the one thing is that, and I'm a huge fan of his electric car. I think it's incredible, his car. I think what he does, and I'm a big fan of electric, but they don't go far. And they are expensive, and China does have the material. We have gasoline, more gasoline than anybody else has. I call it liquid gold. We have liquid gold, but and electric absolutely has a place. You know, you have electric, but you have to have gasoline-powered cars and hybrid-powered cars, and maybe hydrogen is going to be next. Who knows? But you know, the things that they're...
You know, I saw someone in chat say, you know, he sounds like a late presidency Ronald Reagan. Well, there's a good reason for that. Donald Trump's 78 years old. Anyone want to take a guess at how old Ronald Reagan was when he exited office? Anyone want to take a guess? How old was Ronald Reagan when he exited office? 72, 72, 72. Wrong! He was 77. Donald Trump is older than Ronald Reagan was at the end of his second term. So, yeah. That would probably be why he doesn't sound too hot.
Proposing. You know, it's interesting. I mentioned men playing in women's sports. So the Olympics, we watched the Olympics, right? And did you see the boxing situation, right?
Yes, sir, we did.
So you had this beautiful champion Italian female boxer, and she was supposed to be very good.
Ah, good. Finally, we've made it to the transphobia.
Good against women. And I was watching it for some reason. I find it very interesting. And she was fighting a person that transitioned. And I wouldn't want to fight this person. But
citation needed, because Amane Khalif is not a trans woman.
But transitioned and met certain qualifications.
So Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Because Elon, you're talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk recently did an interview with Jordan Peterson, and he talked about the fact that one of his children has decided that they're transgender. He talked about the woke mind virus. When you look at Tim Walz, who is now Kamala Harris's running partner, he has made his state a sanctuary city, sir, which means that a sanctuary state, excuse me, for children, that they can go there and have gender surgeries paid for by the government. And
I don't know that the government pays for the gender surgeries. As a trans myself, the government hasn't paid for any of my health care, unfortunately. But Minnesota has had trans protections on the books since the 90s. Okay, like we have one of the longest histories of explicitly defending trans rights in the entire country. Okay, and what it means to have sanctuary laws for trans kids is effectively like you're not going to criminalize parents who take their kids from out of state to Minnesota to get the treatment that they need in order to be happy and healthy. Now, does that mean we pay for the trans surgeries? No, because kids aren't getting trans surgeries. Okay? Maybe it might include like trans surgeries insofar as like trans boys get top surgery, but if you object to that, keep in mind exponentially more cis teens get boob jobs. Exponentially more. Conservatives do not care about that. Exponentially more cis teens get nose jobs. Conservatives don't care about that. But when it comes to, well, you're trans boys, all of a sudden, well, you might be old enough for a boob job and a nose job, but you're not old enough to have affirming surgery in other ways. Yeah, also, the concern about this is literally like 1 out of 100 million. It is not done without either extraordinarily good reason or an incredibly exceptional like slipping through the cracks. And I don't think I have heard maybe I've heard one detransition story. One. Out of the thousands of trans people that go through this process every year, there's been one out of tens of thousands where like a teen got top surgery and then later regretted it, which, cannot emphasize this enough, is a risk of literally any kind of medical intervention. Literally any kind of medical intervention. It can, like, if you get like a fungal infection as a result of a surgery, guess what? You might be dissatisfied with how that surgery worked out. If you go through surgery and you have like a slight damage to your nerves, you might be dissatisfied to that. And those are like some pretty common like side effects. People who have life-saving surgeries on their hearts have a higher regret rate than all detransitioners taken into account, than all like people reporting ill effects from trans surgeries combined. Literally, surgeries that will save your life have a higher regret rate than any trans surgery. And trans affirming surgeries have some of the highest satisfaction rates, if not the highest satisfaction rates of any kind of medical intervention. So the process for screening for this type of medical care is extensive and also effective at preventing people from falling through the cracks. Let's not forget that Harry Potter tattoos also have a higher regret rate than trans surgery. True. At the age of 16, my sister-in-law got breast reduction because she had double D's and was 4'9" and was already getting back problems, and no one batted an eye at that. This whinging from them is ridiculous. Yeah, hippie punk. When I was in high school, someone in my social circles got a breast reduction surgery and like was much happier and confident as a result of that. It's literally the same premise, but for boys. You know, like it's crazy that this is even a thing. Let's see. I'm not aware of the current census stats on trans people. Last I heard, that not even like 1% of the population. Detransitioners are literally a percent of a percent of a percent. True, Remy. Highest, actually. Wait, it is. Trans affirming surgeries are actually the highest. 98% satisfaction rate versus 93% across all surgeries. Wild. Wild.
And so I just ask you, there's been an explosion in the
Yep. Most people who detransition do it because of social pressure or economic pressure.
number of children.
And most people who detransition, the vast majority, still wish to transition.
Who identify as transgender, and children are being taught that they were born in the wrong body. It's an incredibly abusive message to send. So let's talk.
If a child is trying to harm themselves because that is the case, and we have the ability to fix the underlying problem, you have to understand that from the perspective of like people who are in charge of dispensing care, medical care, it's insane to withhold that the known effective method of dealing with this threat to children's health, you know? Rational National did a video today that top surgery for minors were only like 240 people last year out of 72 million, so next to nothing. It's very rare. Yeah, no, like it is a fraction of a fraction. Like we're literally talking about in any given state in America, less like the chances of one trans affirming surgery on a minor being done in any given year is like less than one person in the state. You know, it's like one of those stats where like the average number of children a household will have is like 2.5, you know, and like how do you have 0.5? It's because it's less than that. Less than 3 happens. That's why. You know? It's wild. It just seems to me that, like, if you have a solution to someone's medical or mental anguish and you withhold that, there's no scenario in which you can think that you are actually in the right.
Talk a little bit about some of the things that you might be able to do as president.
Well, you can do everything. President has such power. It does. It has such power. For instance, you can close.
They're literally like clapping him, talking about how he has so much power.
The border. You don't need a bill. You know, they keep saying, well, just give us a bill. It's just a. They had the worst bill I've ever seen. It was a disaster. And they wouldn't have signed it anyway because they do want open borders. They want to have open borders. They want to have all sorts of things that almost nobody in this room wants, who I think 85, 90% of the country doesn't want if they actually
I absolutely agree.
Wow, you think 80 to 95% of the country would reject the Democratic platform of workers being paid a fair wage, more people having health care, more jobs with better pay and better working conditions. Yeah, people famously hate all those things.
With you.
But the transgender thing is incredible. Think of it.
I'm cutting you off there. That's right. The transgender thing is incredible. And you know what else is incredible? We've actually been streaming now for 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you've been enjoying the show, hit the follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like the goddamn YouTube stream, and please consider supporting stream with subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. Because, hey folks, this show is not possible without donations from viewers like you. Thank you for making this show possible, folks. Oh, I'm clipping that? Do it.
Your kid goes to school and comes home a few days later with an operation.
What?
The school decides what's going to happen with your child.
What?
And you know, many of these childs, 15 years later, say, what the
Many of these childs?
hell happened? Who did this to me?
Da 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 da. But in an article we recently published in JAMA Surgery, we challenged the notion that transgender people often regret gender-affirming surgeries. Evidence suggests that less than 1% of transgender people who undergo gender-affirming surgery report regret. Less than 1%, meaning that the total number, according to this study from this year, of the percentage is literally 99% of people, 99 point something percent of people who get gender-affirming surgery do not regret getting it. Oh, all these people are regretting their surgeries. No, they're not. No, they're not. And you know what? We've actually had people getting gender-affirming surgeries for literally decades now. And in fact, have we been, like, I think it's been over a century now that, like, this type of medical intervention has existed. And even when, like, I have to tell you guys, even when, like, actual monsters were performing gender-affirming surgeries, like unethical, like, back alley doctors, okay, who were, like, absolute monsters to their patients. Even when they were doing it, trans people were like, hell yeah, sign me up, bro. I'm down for it. The first gender affirming surgery was in 1922. So yeah, over a century, 102 years. So, just throwing out there that Donald Trump may in fact be full of shit. I know it's a new concept. You've never heard that before, but you know, it might be true. Might be true. You know, can't say for sure.
They say, who did this to me? It's incredible. Just to finish that boxing, so the Italian girl...
Fun fact, most of the detransitioners who go through the conservative media circuit make six figures from, you know, anti-trans lobbying orgs. Fun stuff.
And the left is not a hard punch for those of you not into pugilistic affairs. But a left is just sort of a guarding punch, right? So she's fighting this person that transgendered, and the guy, boom, hits her with a left. It was.
God, wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be absolutely incredible if Imani Khalif sues Donald Trump? Wouldn't that be great? Like she's been saying like, I'm going to sue you if you lie about me. And now she has a gold medal, and I feel like that's pretty cool. Now, I do want to say Imani Khalif is probably also not a woman you want to put up on a pedestal as like someone who is going to have good political opinions. I don't know that for a fact. She has bad ones, but might not be the best. You're a decent kitten. Thank you for the $5 dono. I appreciate you, and thank you for being the first person in a while to support stream. I appreciate you.
It's like she got hit by a horse. And then she backed up, and it was weird. She sort of like, and then...
Spoken like someone who's never watched boxing before.
He hits her with another left, and she said, that's enough, I can't take that. He ended up winning the gold medal. And there was another one who also transgendered, and he or she ended up also winning the gold medal.
He?
Yeah. Tiffany said it, I didn't. See, I'm a politician. I have to be politically correct.
You don't though. You've been saying the wrong thing the entire time.
I'm a mom. I have to protect my kids.
No, but think of it. So the two people, the transgender, the whole thing is crazy. Have you seen the swimming records lately?
Oh, my goodness.
How about the weightlifting records? That's one of the best.
Yeah, what about him? Yeah. What do you find interesting about them?
You know, a record that was like for 18 years, they'd put a quarter of an ounce on one side, quarter of an ounce, a little bit on one, a little bit. A thing held for 18 years. This guy walks along. What did he beat the record by? 115 pounds.
Citation needed?
It's crazy. The volleyball, where a championship volleyball player is playing against a team, and one or two of the people had transitioned.
Man, I love that he is now graduated to just like making up, like out of whole cloth, things that never happened. Just like, yeah, I seem to recall a scenario in which I believe it was the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball Tournament, folks. And it seems to me that there were some men in the tournament. I don't know how, but in his mind, it really did happen. Dead or alive. And they make sure you die by putting men in the tournament. That's how it works, folks, because we all know women can't kill other women. That's just not how it works. It just seems to me like at some point someone should be like, what tournament are you talking about, man? Like, it would be extraordinarily noteworthy, especially in the trans circles I run in, that there were 2 trans women on a volleyball team on a national or world ranked stage. That would be incredible. That is something that, to my knowledge, hasn't happened before. And we would all know about it. Donald Trump is just making this up. He's like, Well, I saw these men folks in the Dead or Alive tournament, and frankly, a couple of them were a little too large. They were too tall, folks. Women don't get tall, do they? You know, women, they're small women. Okay, smaller than me. No woman could possibly be tall, folks. It's never happened. What happened to Mumsnet? They're transphobic as fuck. That's it. That's all that happened to Mumsnet.
And the ball was hit so hard into the head of the other girl on the other side that she was knocked out.
It popped her head right off, folks. They weren't messing around with the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball Tournament. Knocked it clean off. And I saw that and I yelled, "Wilson!" And everyone clapped.
Concussion. And she said, you know, she was a championship player, like an All-American player. She said,
yeah, because people never get hit with the ball in volleyball unless a trans person is playing.
Said, I played volleyball all my life. I've never seen a ball travel at that speed. It's crazy. And even with all of that, they won't change. And you know what? Everyone's afraid to talk about it.
Not
even
me.
the people, not Tiffany. Not Tiffany.
We're going to fight to keep our girls safe, President Trump. We're going to fight to make sure that our girls have privacy and safety in their bathrooms, and that they have Kristi Noem, I think, said it best.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge the irony of like Donald Trump thinking that people don't get hit with the volleyball when the premise of volleyball is hitting the ball with your body? Like the goal of the game is to hit the ball hard so that it hits the other players hard. That's literally how the game works.
He said, we will not allow mediocre men to beat extraordinary women.
Yeah. That's right. It's also very demeaning to women. I don't know how they get away with it. But the Olympics was the best thing that I've seen, because you really see when these boxers came out, it was so ridiculous. And they just go through it like nothing. And why should women have to, swimming too, why should women have to compete? Now, it was sort of hard to get in. I don't know how these two people got in, but they got in. Because in some cases, you know, they weren't allowed in. So they have a crazy standard going on. But it's so demeaning to women. And women are working so hard to like make a team or to make a record, and these records that are being set now by people that transitioned will not be broken. Right. Maybe 1,000 years from now by a woman, I don't know, but they're not going to be broken by a woman. It's a very sad thing, and you know, Kamala is totally in favor now. She's gone away from everything. You know, she's called the greatest flip-flopper in history. She loves fracking now. She said, there will never be fracking. We will never frack. And everything that she said would do, she's...
Can we just acknowledge... I know the moment has long passed, but, like, he literally said that, like, kids go to school and they come back transitioned, as if, like, the school nurse is doing boob jobs and like genital surgeries. That's insane. That's insane. That's not happening. You guys know that, right?
They're doing it. There's like 12 or 14 things. There's never been anything like this. And you know, in one way, it makes you very dishonest, because you know, I could see somebody throughout history. People have gone into one or two areas where there's a difference. You know, you like something and then all of a sudden but almost every single thing. In fact, we're seriously thinking about sending her tomorrow a MAGA hat because she loves everything we're doing. So we're going to send her a nice, bright red, Make America Great Again hat.
You should do that. I loved when J.D. Vance said that he thought maybe she might come out at the debate with a blue suit and a red tie on.
That's right. That could happen. It's crazy.
So, President Trump, you know, our moms are busy women, and they have families and busy lives, right? And many of them never thought that they would get involved in politics and run. Did you ever think about running for office at other times in your lives? And then just some advice, because you come under fire a lot. Our moms are standing for things that often the media attacks them on. We'd love to get some advice from you about running for office.
Yeah, so I would say don't do it.
No, run for office. We want you to run for office.
I do say this, though. It is nastier to run as a Republican than it is. Now, I'm...
Wait, you didn't have a favorite cafeteria lady who gave you extra mac and cheese and a set of amazing tits? No, unfortunately, I had to do all that myself. The mac and cheese and the tits.
The ultimate, you know, I mean, they suffer from a thing called TDS. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
TDS, it's a horrible, horrible terminal disease.
Why is it terminal? What are they going to die of? Because I'm not going to lie, that does kind of sound like a veiled threat coming from the guy who tried to overthrow democracy.
It destroys the mind. It destroys the mind before the body, but the body eventually goes. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome. They have it at levels. They can't even stand their life. They can't stand anything. And, you know, part of the reason is I won an election which everybody said couldn't be won. Couldn't be won for a lot of reasons. Number one, he had never done it before. You know, it's not that easy to be a politician. I mean, you have to have something. And we won. And we really did a great job. You know, we rebuilt the military. We gave the largest tax.
I am getting very bored with this. I'm going to try and make it to the 1 hour mark. And then we're gonna tap out. There's another like 30 minutes left after that.
Cuts ever largest regulation cuts. In terms of health, we did something that was amazing. We had right to try. You know, we have the greatest scientists in the world, greatest doctors in the world, greatest laboratories in the world, better than anybody else, much better than China. China's very good, but much better. Acknowledged. And we have things to fight off diseases that will not be approved for another 5 or 6 years, that people that are very sick, terminally
Or that may never be approved because they're deeply unsafe.
ill, should be able to use, but there was no mechanism for doing it. And I got everybody into a room. The insurance companies didn't want to allow it because they're terminally ill. They don't want to do it because then they'll get sued for somebody dying even though they're terminally ill. The states didn't want it. The government didn't want it, the federal government. Most of all, the doctors and the labs didn't want it because they didn't want to say that we're going to try and make somebody better. They didn't get better, and now everyone's going to say whatever it is doesn't work. And I got them all into a room, everybody, and I said, here's what we're doing. You're going to sign these documents. Nobody's going to have liability. If somebody wants to come, because, you know, they'd fly to Asia, they'd fly to Europe, most of them didn't have money, they'd go home and they'd die. It was a hopeless situation. But if they had money, they'd go to Asia, they go to Europe. We have much better technology. And what happened is I got everybody in a room. I said, listen, there's not going to be any liability. People are going to sign a document.
Yeah. Maybe there should still be some liability, though. Like, maybe tricking desperate people into human experimentation is still not okay. Anyway.
Document that they're not going to sue the country, they're not going to sue the state, they're not going to sue the doctors or the medical platforms, they're not going to sue anybody. They just want the
Good
drug.
night, Dylan.
And we have saved thousands and thousands
Or
of
good
lives.
night,
It's
Reed.
amazing. It actually worked out differently. The drug companies now are liking it to a certain extent because it's the ultimate test. Somebody's terminally
Like on the one hand, I'm sympathetic to like if you're terminally ill, should you have the right to do that? On the other hand, I totally disagree with the practice of releasing a company from any and all liability for how it's going to treat you. That's extraordinarily dangerous.
ill, and all of a sudden they get better, and it's happening with thousands. And I got that done. They've been trying for 60 years to get it done, and we got it done. They don't have to fly away. And it's really had the reverse.
Hovo,
People
exactly.
finding cures to things. That
Exactly.
When a terminally ill person, a person that's almost ready to die, goes in and starts taking something, and now all
Good night,
of a sudden
Cleaver.
that person gets better. It's an amazing thing, and we save thousands of lives. So we've done a lot of things, a lot of things.
We'll talk about parental rights if we could for a little bit. We're a parental rights organization. And we saw Terry McAuliffe lose his bid for governor in Virginia. Remember that?
Yeah. I actually do remember.
And he said famously that he didn't think that parents should be making decisions about what their children were learning in school. And we believe that every parent has a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children, right? And that includes their education. So what do you plan to do at the federal level to help us to protect parental rights and education freedom like school choice?
Okay, so I like to say that we're the party of common sense. I mean, we're conservative and all of that. But walls are common sense, right? All of the things we're talking about, no men and women sports, no gender operation. I mean, there's these operations, it's crazy. You know, I don't know if you know, Europe has gone totally away from it now.
Yes, sir.
We're way behind them. They don't do it anymore. And this is just horrible. But who could even believe this is happening? So think of it. You have these parents that end up in fistfights at school meetings, and the parents mean well. They end up getting arrested, put in prison. I've seen things, especially Loudoun County, right? Loudoun County, it's a hotbed. Anybody from Loudoun?
It is really, really weird how you can see him over and over and over again in these small appearances, speaking to these rapt conservative audiences, and then he'll drop like the name of like a single county that was pivotal in the previous election, and he'll even sometimes drop like individual names of people who are going to be involved in like verifying like the upcoming election. And the fact that he knows those people by name should be very disturbing to you. Like, it really is kind of the equivalent of showing his entire ass on camera. Like, oh, hey. Yeah, these people who are my guys are all in charge of verifying the election. It is wild how out in the open, like, his efforts to subvert the upcoming election are. Could his campaign team not just told him the names? Well, I'm not saying that, like, they didn't, because Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about some random election official in a county, okay? He doesn't care about them personally. He doesn't know their names in that way. But the fact that his campaign, that like that makes it worse. You realize that makes it worse, right? That his campaign apparatus is already turning on that particular point is worse. It just indicates that they're going to do a more concerted and possibly successful effort to muddy the results of this election. And that's deeply worrying to me. Yeah, Dylan, it is either that Trump's heart just isn't in it, or the machinery he has set up is doing the important work for him. And the important work being the setting the stage for a second attempt at taking power in unconventional, non-democratic means or ways.
You know, I have the property. I have the big, great golf course there, right on the. I offered. You had the head of one of your groups that was very impressive to me, and I said, anytime you want to use my land along the Potomac River.
In the USA, does homeschooling have to follow curriculum of the public system or not? Absolutely not. No. The restrictions and like regulations around homeschooling are incredibly lax. That's how you get stories about like rings of it, and they also vary from state to state, but that's generally how you get stories of like homeschooling rings of like neo-Nazis thriving in rural areas of America.
Right under the American flag. I mean, I have sort of an unlimited capacity there. It's a lot of acres, and it's miles along the Potomac. It's truly beautiful.
Yeah, Remy.
But, you know,
I think it's going to get absolutely bananas the closer we get to the election.
I'm for parental rights all the way. I don't even understand the concept of not being.
Thank you.
And, no, but when you see some of the things...
Neither do we.
When you see some of the things, that's another, you know, like, why would somebody want to have an open war? When you see some of the things that they want people to do in these school boards, and they become like dictatorships, and the parents are screaming for the life of their child, a lot having to do with transgender, a lot having to do with a lot of other things. You've got to give the parents truly love the kids, okay? Some of these people on the boards, I think they don't like the kids very much, what they're doing. So you have to give the rights back to the parents. And I can't imagine it. Well, okay, this administration has been the opposite. This administration, it's like the FBI goes after the people. That like it's some kind of an insurrection. It's
yes, sir.
crazy.
They called us domestic terrorists, President Trump.
Yeah, you know, trying to overthrow the government of the United States kind of does that.
Speaking out at school board meetings.
Well, we'll change that on the first day, I promise you. No, can you believe it? You are not a domestic terrorist or a terrorist. We do have terrorists coming in, and they're coming in by the thousands, but you're not one.
Just real quick here. Just I just want to check. If this is the Moms for Liberty co-founder that had sex with women and is virulently homophobic. I'm trying to see if this is the same one. Okay. So there are three co-founders: Tina Desovich, Tiffany Justice, who's on stage here, and Bridget Ziegler. Now, what is the scandal here? Okay, Bridget Ziegler was the one who had the threesome. Okay. Let's just take a look at political affiliations here. Let's see. Southern Poverty Law Center describes Moms for Liberty as a far-right organization that engages in anti-student inclusion activities and self-identifies as part of the modern parental rights movement. Let's see here. They are affiliated with the Proud Boys, a far-right neo-fascist organization that is also considered a terrorist organization in multiple countries. So that's... if you don't want to be considered terrorists, maybe you shouldn't pal around with people who are considered terrorists. Now, let's see. What else here? Ron DeSantis. Okay. Oh. In December 2022, the Moms for Liberty Miami was one of the organizations of an anti-LGBT Protect the Children rally in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The rally, which was attended by about 20 members of the Proud Boys, was promoted by right-wing outlets such as Breitbart, OANN, and the avowedly anti-Semitic Goyim Defense League, which is a neo-Nazi organization. In June 2023, the Hamilton County, Indiana chapter of Moms for Liberty printed a quote from Adolf Hitler on the top of the front page of their monthly newsletter. At the Moms for Liberty conference days later, Tiffany Justice said to the audience, "One of our moms in a newsletter quotes Hitler. I stand with that mom." The audience cheered in response. Just in case you had any doubts about exactly the kinds of people who are involved in this organization and who are on stage in this particular Trump appearance. Yeah, I think that maybe these people don't actually care about the safety of children. You know, I something tells me something tells me that. So, just laying that out. We did it! We made it through the segment, everybody! Huzzah! Huzzah! Huzzoo! We did it. Now, folks, we've been going for almost 4 hours now. If you've been enjoying the show, please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and consider dropping those subs and donos, folks, because I can't make this show without your support. It literally can't happen without you guys. So, thank you to everyone who supported the show so far today. Y'all are amazing. And you're making it possible for me to make this content. And I, for one, appreciate that. Are evil trans plans to let children grow up and be who they want to be? Yeah, dastardly. Dastardly of us to want the best for kids.